Good evening, everyone. Today, the topic of our presentation today is Raising the Red Lantern. I'm Margaret, and this is my group member, Hayden, Evie, and Chelsea. Next. The movie Raising the Red Lantern is a 1991 film by designer Zhang Yimou. Adapted from Sun Tang's middle-grade novel, Concubines and Wives, in the 1920 on the mainland of Republic of China. The main character, Song Lian, was originally the daughter of a wealthy merchant who was attending university, having received a university education that made her advanced and independent. However, Song Lian was forced to drop out of the university because her father had died and her family had fallen into poverty, and in order to alleviate the pressure on her family, she was married off by her stepmother to become a company in the wealthy Chen family. In an environment as eerie as the Chen families, Song Lian's personality is spiritually touched and distant, and she eventually lost herself completely to make a place for herself in the family's loving and competitive environment. Chen family rules are for wives before the evening to stand in front of their own house. The superintendent was ordered to put the big red lantern in front of the door of the house. The wife of the evening will be able to get the master's pleasure. Next. The cultural background of the movie is in the feudal times of Old China. In this time, the status of women was very low, and very few girls were able to go to school as Song Lian did. And most of them received a basic education or were married off without an education from a young age. In the past, the fatalism that men are superior to women has always been limited in China, which is why Master Chen is able to marry 4 wives. And the 4 wives of the Chen family have provided them lives quest on the master. Chen must also had paramount stand and power in the Chen family complot. In the movie, the Chen family's complot is like a small version of feudal society, where family roles, power struggles, and the loss of women are all repeatedly displayed.
Next, we move to the visual analysis section. Next. In terms of actors, the story revolves around the woman in the mansion, which is in line with the system of monogamy and multiple concubines, and the maidservant, which has been passed down for a long time in Chinese feudal society. The first wife, Yimou, is the wife married by the Red family with a large dowry. The second wife, Joevah, the third wife, Mei Shan, and the fourth wife, Song Lian, are concubines. Concubines are paid for and have stature and capital that they can show off. For example, the second wife was a big-name boudoir artist. The third wife was a popular flower girl, and the fourth wife was a new school college student, and the slave Yan is Master Chen's private property, so it is impossible to be able to be a wife. Even if she is taken in, she can only be a common roommate. In terms of clothing, the personality and status of characters are also reflected through the different colors and designs of the clothing and the accessories on the characters. The first wife wears a purple dress, purple being an aristocratic color and has the most accessory on her body, which suits her status. The second wife has the densest and most intricate pattern on her dress, representing her accomplishment and tactics. The third wife wears bright red, giving a sense of her boldness and spunk. Her accessories are second only to the first wife, representing her life to favor. The first wife's clothing are the simplest and plainest, representing her simple character when she first enters the house. So this dress, the exploitation and restriction placed on women in traditional Chinese families are reflected.
So next, I want to talk about the set of this movie. The whole movie was shot in the country yard. Such a close shooting location is like an inevitable cage, which has become a tour of Western women. Therefore, the country yard is also a symbol of traditional Chinese family, and it also represents the fate of each woman who cannot leave the country yard. In many shots of the movie, the wall of the country yard appears very high. Such high walls block the set outside and created a dark and representing a monster. There's a big feature in the use of colors in the set. The disaster used black and red. Black can represent fear of no hope, unknown, and fatal strain, while red always represents festival colors, symbolize the purity and blood in the movie. Such a contrast can make the movie full of Chinese honor. And next. This part mainly analyzes some iconic props used in the movie. And first of all, the most famous one must be the red lantern. It is in everywhere, just like the power of the master surrounding the country yard. Wherever there's a lantern and there's power. Lanterns can also represent different meanings in very different sets. For example, on the first night after Song Lian married into the Chen family, the master asked him to hold up a lantern, and at this time, the two lanterns in the picture were just like the master's eyes and full of gaze. Lanterns can also represent hope for some woman. In the later part of the film, Song Lian brought the maid Yan'er's fantastic and burning lanterns here represent hopeless. And other props that appear more frequently include tours of hammering feet. This tour is also unique because it makes a loud noise when shaking. This sound is actually for other women in the country yard to hear in order to arouse their desire of power, so as to compete with each other for the master's favor and finally lose the dynasty of women. The ordering stream for the country yard is also very unique. The condition in which woman the master stays overnight is allowed to order dishes. This unfairness in eating leads to conflict between the women. So let's go to the next part.
So now I'm going to go through the lighting and composition. So lighting is central to the film's storytelling. Yimou doesn't just use light to illuminate, it uses it to oppress, to conceal, and to reveal. Inside the fatal household, the dim lighting creates a claustrophobic feeling, almost as if the characters are trapped not only within the walls of compound, but also within the shadows of tradition. Song Lian, the protagonist, is often bathed in partial light during key moments, symbolizing her conflicted emotions. The red lanterns themselves are particularly striking, while the warm glow suggests comfort and beauty. They also represent submission when a white lanterns are lit. It signifies her temporary favor, but it's favor bound by control. The act of lighting them is not romantic, it's ritualistic, almost mechanical, tying the woman to the rules of the household. One unforgettable example is the way lantern light falls on Song Lian's face as she confronts her reality. The glow is beautiful but haunting, symbolizing the price of this fleeting privilege. Moving on to composition, Yimou crafts every frame with precision, almost like painting that reflects the richer structure of this world. Symmetry is key here. The perfectly balanced shot mirror the strict hierarchy of the household. Every courtyard scene feels like a diagram of power. The master at the center, with his wife and servant positioned around him like pawns on a chessboard. But what's most powerful is how Zhang frames his character. Song Lian and the other wife are often seen through doorways or windows, their face partially obscured by bar or lattice work. These visual barriers remind us of their emotional and physical confinement. Even when they're free to move within the household, they're never truly free. One particularly memorable shot shows Songlian standing behind a lattice window. It's a simple frame, but it says so much. It's as though the architecture itself is trapping her, mirroring her psychological imprisonment. Negative space also plays a role here. Often the wife is shown in vast, empty courtyards dwarfed by their surroundings not only isolate themselves visually, but also emphasize the loneliness that pervades their life.
So overall, Reading the Red Lantern is a film that depicts the distress of women by fellow families in Chinese society half a century ago, and ruthlessly expresses and citizens the further ideology of men's superiority over women in China, as well as revealing the tragedy of women in that era. And that's the end of our presentation today. Thank you.